Okay, it's a update on the storm for February 8th, Saturday night into Sunday morning, pretty much for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Just a radar showing where it is now, the precipitation over the Ohio Valley, and then extending into the parts of the Delmarva Peninsula. Um, Tonight, that energy is going to transfer off the coast of the Mid-Atlantic, and a new low pressure system will form, and that is going to expand and intensify the precipitation shield. So this is just surface temperatures right now. You can see the low pressure system over here in eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and then as time goes on, you see this new low pressure system pop up here. Of course, with low pressure, we have winds going counterclockwise flow around the low. So that's going to give pretty much the whole region plenty of northerly flow, which is going to keep things cold and keep pretty much everyone in frozen precipitation, the exception of maybe parts of the Cape and the islands briefly, which could mix with some sleet, freezing rain, and even some plain rain for a bit. So let's take a look at the precipitation types. You can see the onset of precipitation in the Mid-Atlantic starts, this is for like 6 p.m. So around dinner time for eastern Pennsylvania into New Jersey. Could start as snow there, but it's going to quickly change over to sleet and freezing rain. These blue is obviously snow, and then red, sleet, and pink and purple is freezing rain. So some of these areas near Philly could get 1 or 2 tenths of an inch of ice accretion, which is definitely going to make roads slick. Although this is going to predominantly happen after dark tonight through early morning before dawn tomorrow. So shouldn't be too many people on the road. But the biggest issue could be if we get between maybe a quarter and a third of an inch of ice is kind of when small limbs start breaking and could weigh down some power lines. So it could be some isolated power outages in that area. If we just look at a freezing rain accretion map here, you see a lot of like point 1 to point 2 readings in that area. And then it's another model for it. More or less the same thing. So pretty good agreement on models that they're going to get a couple tenths of an inch of ice accretion there. Shouldn't do much to New England. South coast might flirt a bit with some sleet and freezing rain, but it's not going to be enough to weigh down any power lines or nothing. So we go back to precipitation type. So onset of this is going to be, this is midnight, so we back it up a little bit here. This is like 11 p.m. And if we look at another model here, it's already showing some flakes entering the eastern Mass and New Hampshire area by late tonight. I'd say probably about 10 p.m. The Merrimack Valley and Boston area starts to see some snow, and then South Shore and Cape and the Islands around midnight or so. And then that continues. I'm just going to go to the latest model run here. Pretty much the same thing, but mostly south of the Pike, we start to see a bit of this mix of sleet and freezing rain. This is for like 6 a.m. or so. But if we just look at the simulated reflectivity, you can see those areas that are getting that sleet and freezing rain are the precipitation is lightened up significantly there. So it's not going to add up too much. That could dampen some of the totals on the south coast and Cape and the Islands, though. And yeah, it looks like things move out by mid to late morning, pretty much for all of New England, except the eastern areas of Massachusetts, and maybe Cape and the Islands lingers through noon or even early afternoon. If you look at total precipitation that falls, you can see that New Hampshire has only about half of what Massachusetts does. But if we, let's see here, go to snow ratios during the height of the storm, should be about 4 a.m. It's going to be like, between 16 and 20 inches of snow to 1 inch of rain. And so that's a much drier snow than down here in eastern Massachusetts, which is getting closer to about a foot or a little more inches of snow compared to an inch of rain. And then eventually you'll see parts of the South Shore and Cape and the Islands get even lower snow total. So that's going to be a much heavier, wetter snow than northern New England will have. Okay, so snow totals. Um, Most of New England looking at a general 6 to 12 inches, a little bit less in northern New England, and Cape and the Islands are kind of going to be a bit tricky to forecast because, for instance, this one model, the HRR, showing 6 or 7 inches down there, even on the islands. And then look at another model, the NAM, showing more like a 2 to 5 inches down there. I think it's going to be somewhere in between there. A general 3 to 6 with maybe 6 inches toward the bridges on the upper Cape, and then maybe a little bit less, closer to 3 inches toward like Chatham and on the islands. But most models agreeing the highest totals are going to be on an axis in especially the higher terrain, but on the northern Massachusetts border from the southern Green Mountains into the Berkshires, southwest New Hampshire, and possibly into the Merrimack Valley could see some snow totals in the double digits. Most of the models showing like a 6 to 10 for Connecticut, Rhode Island, and southeast Mass, but there are still a couple models hinting that they could possibly get even a little bit more than that, like 10 or 11 inches. So, and over in the Mid Atlantic, pretty much just the freezing rain is what you're gonna the main contender down there. You evade most of the higher snow totals. Could be an inch or two of a snow to start the event, and then that quickly gets sleeted and rained on. And yeah, so that should pretty much be out of the region by mid to late morning. Or like I said, might linger a little bit more on Cape and the Islands. And then the next system we have to worry about was looking like Tuesday into Wednesday, but most of the models are now showing that a little bit too far south of our region to be much of an issue. And then after that, it could be something around Thursday on the 13th. And then lastly, I'll just show my the Microsoft Paint crap map. Pretty much kind of an average of what we just talked about with the higher totals across the northern Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire region. Maybe even some 10 to 14 inch reports in the southern Green Mountains or northern Berkshires. And then a little bit tricky down here in South Coast and the Cape, but I have a general 4 to 7 for like southern Plymouth and Bristol County, and then 3 to 6 for most of the Mid Cape. And yeah, that'll about do it.